Hey guys, this is your suitably Brian Hang, and we're back again for more suitable conversations. And yeah, today we're talking golf, and we're talking the Ryder Cup specifically. Uh, I know it's been 2 weeks since the Ryder Cup is finished, but some of us are still hung over from the scenes at Bethpage. Uh, I mean, with golf, especially with major events such as the Ryder Cup or majors like your US Open and the US Masters. There's so much that happens during that week, and going to the tournament and obviously up until the end, who wins. And of course, with the Ryder Cup, it's a different ball game. It's a team competition. It's the United States versus the Europeans, and it happens twice a year. And each and every year it changes venues. This year it was in the United States, and next year, well, not next year, but the next one, which will be in 2027, it will be in Ireland. Obviously, in Europe, and I'm sure even in the United States, is the same, where be it countries or states and golf courses, they'll probably be bidding to host the Ryder Cup. So or it's either the the US Golf Union that will decide which club to host the next event. So those are that. But yeah, I mean, with regards to the Ryder Cup, like I said, it's a team competition. There's no money involved there, so there's no prize money. Um, and yeah, it's quite an interesting one. The team has like 12 players. The first six players, they automatically go in according to their rankings during the season, that particular season. So 2025 or 2024, 2025 for the United States, and for the European, it will be like, yeah, so 2025 and where they're ranking. So yeah, excuse me. So, so yeah, it's been interesting. But I wanted us to talk more about, me. We'll talk more about the fashion. Yeah, shout out to the Europeans for winning again, which I think most of us, including me, didn't see the United States. Well, I didn't see the United States losing. When you look at the world rankings, like the top 10 is full of the American team, you know. So it just says, obviously, with the competition formats like team competition, just says the European team, they are much more dominant, because when it came to the partnership formats, the European teams were very dominant. But then on the later stage, when it's the single format, the United States were dominant. But unfortunately, at that time, it's a little too late, because the Europeans have accumulated enough points to win the the event and retain the trophy. But yeah, I mean, that's the golfing side of it. But for me, I wanted us to, and that's probably another reason why I took a little bit of time to do this insert, because I wanted to see, especially whether it be from social media or like some of the blogs, the golfing blogs that we are seeing now, to see if there would be any of them or any of the podcasts that would talk about the fashion side of things. There's a lot of pages, maybe blogs, that would capture a bit of this and that here and there. Somebody would post because I saw the one post was showing the footwear. You know, obviously with this team competition, the players throughout the week are not gonna be wearing their usual brands that they wear every time when they play. So this time around, they're gonna be wearing one brand, the whole team. And I think for the United States team, it was RLX, which is a product from or a brand under Ralph Lauren. So I'm not too sure with the European team what brand it was. It changes obviously. They get other brands like be it your J. Lindeberg or be it whatever it may be. So it was quite interesting to see uh, how the uniform looked like throughout. Mind you, there's the opening ceremony. There's uniform there, which we're gonna touch on, and then there's obviously the team uniform throughout the tournament, and then there's the closing ceremony, the gala dinner, where obviously it's an evening ceremony, which we are also gonna touch onto that one. And obviously, the bonus of that will be what the spouses were wearing, which I personally think that was the winner, in terms of fashion. But yeah, we'll touch on that. But obviously, to start with regards to the uniform of the tournament, Team Europe will have their uniform, and Team USA and Europe they'll have each uniform. Obviously, they are different. Which the Team USA uniform colors are navy, white, and red. Maybe sometimes not navy, maybe but it's usually navy, red, and white. And then and then the European team, it's royal blue, sometimes navy, and then white, and then the popping color there would be yellow or gold. I don't know which one they. And obviously, if you look at those colors that I mentioned, are the colors that you see on the European Union flag, which is obviously either royal blue with all the gold stars around the flag. So yeah, so those are the two colors that are popping out. So on the European team is the yellow. On the United States team, it will be the red. But again, as we are onto the uniform, we'll start, of course, with the team uniform. Um, I personally feel the uniform has been the same throughout, at least for the last 10 years. Okay, excluding that one year when the United States team wore the maroon shirt with all the picture frame of the previous Ryder Cups. So that one, we don't count it. That was absolutely hideous. But nevertheless, coming closer to the the 2000s, um, it's been the same. If you look at the uniform, regardless which brand is handling the uniform, but it's always been the same. It's always been your either the top part of the shirt would be red, and then white, and then navy, or vice versa, or just playing around with the colors. Maybe the white is bigger here, the navy is just a small stripe, whichever way they may do. But it's just playing around with those two colors. Even with the European team, as stylish as they may be, arguably, but I still feel like the playing uniform has always been basic, nothing out of the box. And if you look at how players from the PGA Tour, or should I say Americans versus Europeans in their respective tours, you could see the style amongst the players as to the Europeans. They are more into not just playing well but also looking good. And then with the American teams, man, I just feel they, regardless whether I'm wearing FootJoy or I'm wearing Puma or I'm wearing Nike, they just put on the clothes and they go play golf. I think for them, it's more about performance than any other thing. As long as the clothes that I'm wearing are gonna give me the performance that I need to play good, I'm good. Whereas with the Europeans, they are more into look good, feel good, play good type of vibe. So those are the difference that I find between the two teams. However, with regards to this team competition, you know, there's not a lot of options there. There's a uniform that the whole team is gonna wear, and that's it. The question obviously comes to who are the people in the back of house team to start doing all of these preparation as to which brand is going to be our brand sponsor in terms of clothing, which colors are we going to do, what styles are we going to do, how are we going to look different from 2 years ago or from the previous Ryder Cups. So those are some of the questions I was asking myself. That I wonder who are those people who are sitting on the table to discuss those finer details. They're not even fine because it's a big thing. Because these are the clothes that the guys are going to be wearing, representing their nations or representing their states. So that was one, and I think the next one would be, of course, the Ryder Cup. It's doing it's a big deal, when the country or when the state is hosting the Ryder Cup. you know it's creating a boost in that country's economy, especially coming from the golfing side. The golf industry gets a little bit of a boom, because it's not just those brands that the players are wearing that are gonna benefit. It's all the brands. All the brands are capitalizing on this particular event. They know the colors of the Ryder Cup teams. Whatever that they're gonna be creating, or the new merchandise that's gonna be coming in for that period, they're gonna make sure that they are blending with those colors. They'll have section for the European team, they'll have section for the US team. So it's quite a it's quite a good economical boost for this type of an event to be hosted in that particular country, because the whole golfing industry takes the advantage of that, and it helps in sales, in merchandise, not just clothing but even with hardware, because they will be doing, be it grips. They'll design grips in the United States colors, or the design grips in the European Union team colors. They will design tailor-made designed two drivers. The one was in royal blue and gold for the European team. The other one was red and blue for the United States team. It may not be a big seller. you know Not everybody decide, because it's the Ryder Cup, I'm gonna buy the Ryder Cup driver, even if they are there. But there are certain souvenirs that people will tend to buy during that time of the Ryder Cup. They can use, like, if you look at balls like TaylorMade Tour Response, it has like a yellow line. They can change that yellow line and design it into either European Union colors or the United States colors. Colorway Triple Track also has lines. They can do a design there for that. There's so many ideas that obviously during that period, the golfers or the golfing brands in the industry, they'll take advantage and start designing things just to make sure that during that week we make big sales. And there are big sales because there will be big marquees, and it will almost look like the PGA convention there, because all the brands will be there selling as much as they can, because there's loads and loads of people who go there for that. And you definitely don't want to go to such an event and not come back with anything to show off. You'd want to wear a golf shirt or a cap that say, hey, I was at the Ryder Cup at the Bethpage, or I was at the Ryder Cup in Rome, 2 years ago. So those are some of the benefits, of the event, of such events of such magnitude. So from that economic point of view, yeah, it's a good event. It's definitely a good event. But then going back to the clothing and the fashion and style, so yeah, man, I uh, as we've touched on the clothing, the uniform of the team, my take would be, at least for the next one, especially for the United States team. The United States team has, each and every year, they have team competitions. It's the Ryder Cup, which is versus the European Union teams, and then the following year is the President's Cup, where it's the United States versus the international, which is all the nations or countries outside of Europe and outside of the United States. So that it says, at least the United States, they have every year, an opportunity to try things out. Man, I know they tried something different with that shirt, but we can always, work on something. I mean, look at the shirt I'm wearing. This is something. This is we're looking at two colors, if not three. It's gray flowers, white. At one of the days, you can have a shirt like this, whether it be the United States team or the European team, whereby it's either royal blue here where it's white, and then maybe the flowers are yellow, maybe with a touch of white inside, or a touch of blue, a different type of blue inside the flowers. So that's a design on its own, and that's something different, as compared to just keeping it, basic, like it's striped or it's plain shirt with a different color collar or sleeves, or maybe a stripe going down. Those are just basic, which, if we honestly look at the previous Ryder Cups, or for the United States, adding even the President's Cup, the style or the colors are the same. Nothing out of the box, nothing too creative to say, hey, that's a cool shit, eh? Because at the end of the day, man, golf in its own is very tough. Ask me about it. It's a very tough sport. That's why uh, we see some of the pros are not always winning. There'll always be that bunch that is there winning. But there's so many other pros. This game is quite tough. Even making the breakthrough in the professional circuit is not easy. I mean, even the amateurs themselves, they can testify how tough the game is. So nowadays, when you look at golfers, casual golfers, when they go play golf, they just want to go there, have fun, good company, and enjoy the atmosphere of the golf course. And of course, go there, look good, have better equipment. Of course, we will always be promoting, us as PGA pros, we will always be promoting, taking lessons, you know, getting some advice on what clubs to use. Don't just go into a golf shop and just buy because you can afford, or you think you just saw Rory McIlroy playing with the TaylorMade QI10, and you think, I also need one. Maybe I can hit the ball like him. There's more into that. There's golf lessons, and more practice. So, but again, story for another day. We're still on the Ryder Cup, and we're talking fashion and style or clothing. So yeah, yeah, man. For me, I hope maybe for the future, you know, if this happens to be heard by somebody, let there be some funkiness. We've seen how golf has evolved already. In looking cool. To invite people who had the perception of this game being boring, it's for old people. Of course, with fashion, it started making it very inclusive for women, for kids, even people with disability. So those are some of the grand milestone that golf has achieved throughout the years. So I'm hoping that in the future Ryder Cups we will be seeing you know better better looks. Not better, but creative ideas or creative looks. By making clothing look cool, man, for the buyers. And let that shade, because if I can take two shades from the previous Ryder Cups, right, from the two shades, and place them with the one shade from this year's Ryder Cup, you don't see much of a difference. So if you can try, whoever's going to be in charge the next season, or whichever brand, you know try place those shirts there and say, how can I be different from these guys? And at least let us see a bit of change. One head, I mean, the United States team won with that hideous shirt, so who knows? Maybe that's what the Americans team need, something out of the box. Maybe they might win. So yeah. But that's the team uniform. Now I think it's more suitable to start talking about the opening ceremony and the closing ceremony, how the gentlemen came through and what they wore. So, opening ceremony, the United States team was wearing suits, full suit, shirt and tie, black shoes with the white trimming like that. Okay, and then the European Ryder Cup team was wearing a 6x2 double-breasted suit with the shirt, no tie. And then on the footwear, they had these old money loafers. Not a fan, but yeah, I mean, something different in adding into the catalog of the Ryder Cup teams and what they wear. So yeah, I mean, with that, not much to say. It's a opening ceremony, a day event. The guys looked alright. However, the closing ceremony, which is somewhat of a gala dinner type of vibe, I was very much disappointed from the United States team. Um, I'm sure you might have heard me from my previous blogs that I'm not against wearing a suit with sneakers. There's guys out there who pull it off. Uh, Personally, for me, I'm not even gonna try because it just doesn't look right in my head. I don't think it will look good on me. So I'm not gonna try a suit and sneakers. And I'm definitely not gonna try a suit and sneakers on an evening event. So my disappointment in the United States team was wearing or disrespecting the occasion, which is an evening occasion, the gala dinner. The ladies looked amazing, and we're gonna touch on that. But for you gents to come out with suit and sneakers no tie. It almost looked like, yeah, whatever, we lost. So can we just get it over and done with, and so that we can carry on with our lives? So it gave that, that's that attitude, because I think for an evening event, you wanna come out as a proud nation as the United States, you know, are. They are a proud nation, and we would have liked to see that, especially from their team, because they have great players. Well, number one, the top 10 players in the world are dominantly Americans. So them being there, evening, we were expecting to see, you know, full on tuxedos. There's a lot of amazing designers in the US who could have taken that opportunity and made them look like winners, you know, because the evening event for the European team, they put on a tie, full shirt, black shoes. They look proper, they look full on. Yeah, it's a tie, but when we say it's a evening event, it still has that theme of black tie event, which the United States counterpart, they couldn't. They came there looking like they're going on an after party or something like that. So it's not so chuffed about the United States how they came out for the closing ceremony gala dinner. Yeah, but yeah, that's that's that. You can't change much. Hopefully, the next one, somebody will hear this and they can make a bit of a change. And but yeah, I think for me, my highlight of this tournament was the ladies, and particularly the European team ladies. They were stylish for days. Opening ceremony, the ladies wore three-piece suit, single-breasted waistcoat, 4x1 tuxedo shoulder lapel jackets with matching off-white or beige suit. So they looked proper, very nice high heels. The pants were nice, relaxed cut, white fit. They looked dashing. They looked classy. And then throughout the week, they were stylish. There was a week where they were wearing Guka pants, Guka shorts, with obviously buckles on the side. Um, and then which other day they look, they wore some. They were not Panama hats, but they had some headgear that was nice and cool. They looked classy throughout. And of course, coming to the last event, the gala dinner, they again, you know, respected the theme. They wore evening dresses. They looked elegant, sophisticated. You name it. So yeah, man, I feel the European ladies were the winners when it comes to fashion and style. I don't know about you. Let us know what you think, what the uniforms, and what's your view again with regards to you know the team's uniform, what they wore, and if you think they can do better, let us know. Until next time, take care. I'm off to play another round. Ciao.